السلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته. الحمد لله رب العالمين، والصلاة والسلام على أشرف الأنبياء والمرسلين وعلى آله وأصحابه أجمعين. أما بعد، فأعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. لقد كان لكم في رسول الله أسوة حسنة لمن كان يرجو الله واليوم الآخر وذكر الله كثيرا. وعن أبي هريرة رضي الله عنه قال أن رجلا قال لرسول الله صلى الله عليه وسلم: أوصني ولا تكثر. قال: لا تغضب، أو كما قال عليه الصلاة والسلام. صدق الله العظيم وصدق رسوله النبي الكريم، ونحن على ذلك من الشاهدين والشاكرين، والحمد لله رب العالمين. سبحانك لا علم لنا إلا ما علمتنا إنك أنت العليم الحكيم. رب اشرح لي صدري ويسر لي أمري واحلل عقدة من لساني يفقه قولي رب زدني علما. My respected elders and brothers, the hadith that I mentioned in front of you is narrated by Abu Hurairah radiyallahu anhu. He says more or less to the nearest meaning that a person approached Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam and said to him that, give me some advice. So he requested for some nasiha and advice, but at the same time he put a condition with that advice also. What was the condition? Do not give me a long lecture. Do not give me a long advice. Make it short, in other words. Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam replied, La taghdab. Do not get angry or stay away from anger. So the first thing we learn from this hadith is, if somebody asks us for something or somebody requests us for something and wants to make it short, maybe he's in a hurry, maybe he doesn't have the capacity to digest long lectures, then based on whatever the request is from the opposite side, we should not feel bad. Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam did not say, why did you put this condition of making it short? But rather he gave him a short advice. So first of all, speak and do the accommodation based on the opposite party. What the request is and how much he or she can digest. Second thing is, Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, why did he pinpoint only anger, that do not get angry? Apparently there could be other nasa'ih, other advices also. The muhaddiseen have mentioned in the commentary of this hadith that this is a very comprehensive and heavy advice of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, to stay away from anger or to know how to do anger management. Why? The muhaddiseen, the commentators say that if you look upon all the sins in the world, whether they are related to huququllah, the rights of Allah, or huququl ibad, the rights of the creation, the whole deen is divided into two categories as far as rights are concerned. Huququllah, the rights of Allah, and huququl ibad, the rights of the humanity. There is no third set of rights. Everything comes under these two sets. So all the sins related to all these two categories, they have two root causes. They have two root causes. What are those two root causes? Anger and shahwa. In Arabic we say shahwa, Urdu mein shahwat kehte hain. Anger is understood. Shahwa is an Arabic word which is translated as inner desire, the desire of the nafs. Nafs ki chahat, nafs ki khwahish, isko aam zaban mein shahwat kehte hain. So these are the two root causes of all the sins happening in the world. Okay? So if a person is able to control his anger, he knows anger management, this means he can stay away from half of the sins. Animosity, jealousy, having grudge for others in the heart, backbiting, all these sins come into existence one way or another because of getting angry. We'll give a couple of examples so it will be easy to understand, inshallah. Okay. So that's why this is a very heavy and comprehensive advice of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Now, is anger something inhuman? Does Islam look down upon anger? No, this is not the meaning of this hadith. Anger is a human ingredient that Allah has put in all of us, and it's a needed and integral ingredient. If a person doesn't have this quality of being angry, he can never protect himself. Somebody would attack him, he won't protect himself. Some animal would attack him, he won't protect himself. Somebody will harm his family members, he won't feel anything. So this anger is something that is needed. But what Islam says is where to use it and where to suppress it. This is something that me and you need to learn. Okay? Moving forward, what are the evil effects of getting angry? So the first thing we understand, it's one of the root causes of sin. Second thing that the ulama have written in the commentary of this hadith is, it's an integral part of our body. We cannot live without it, but it has to be controlled. Third thing to understand it, how does it affect us? If you are getting angry on someone who is under you, who works for you, or you have control over him or her, your sons and daughters, your employees, if you get angry on them, you would cause them pain and suffering by cursing them, by breaking their heart, or by hitting them. What if you get angry on a person who is higher than you in status? You can't hit him, you cannot curse him. Then what you will do is you start burning from inside. And to vent it out, you'll start backbiting. So see, anger is contributing towards backbiting. Anger is contributing towards cursing. Anger is contributing towards breaking the heart of the opposite party. Then once you start backbiting, still your anger doesn't go down, because you're not literally able to do anything to vent it out. So it stays inside, it piles up, jama hota rehta hai andar ghubar. When it starts piling up, it changes into bughz and adawat, malice, grudge and animosity. So see how it is the root cause of all the different inner spiritual diseases that are so harmful. So example of getting angry on people who are under you, example of getting angry on people who are above you, whom in front of whom you cannot express it. So anger is there, it will come also. These are the evil effects. Now how are we going to control it? And what will Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala give us in return, in reward, if we are able to control this anger? Okay. So it is mentioned in the hadith of Muslim, Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam said, a person, a wrestler, a person who is a bodybuilder, or is a person, strong person, or a wrestler, is not the real person who is strong. The real strong person is, the translation of the hadith is, the strong person is not the one who throws the opponent on the floor because he is strong enough. A strong person is one who is able to control his anger when he is in a state of anger. So apparently we might be weak, but we are much stronger than a bodybuilder or a wrestler, the example that Rasulullah ﷺ gave. We might not be able to push our opponent to the ground physically speaking, but still we are more powerful in the sight of Allah if we are able to control our anger. Okay? This is the value of controlling the anger. وَالْكَاظِمِينَ الْغَيْظَ وَالْعَافِينَ عَنِ النَّاسِ. The qualities of the believer in different occasions in the Quran that Allah mentions, two of those qualities is jo apna gussa pee lete hain, those who are able to suppress their anger. وَالْعَافِينَ عَنِ النَّاسِ, jo logo ko maaf kar dete hain, those who are able to forgive people. In the commentary of this ayah, you might have heard this incident. The Mufassirin have mentioned the grandson of Ali radiallahu anh, whose real name was Ali ibn Hussein ibn Ali, whom we call as Zainul Abidin rahimahullah. He was once doing wudu. The servant was pouring water with a water vessel, lota jisko aajkal kehte hain. The water vessel, the bowl slipped. It fell down and put a scratch on his face. So he looked up to the servant. She said, وَالْكَاظِمِينَ الْغَيْظَ. Believers are those who control their anger. So he didn't say anything. Then she said, وَالْعَافِينَ عَنِ النَّاسِ. And believers are those who forgive people. He said, I forgive you for the sake of Allah. She continued the ayah, Wallahu yuhibbul muhsineen. Allah loves those people who do favors on others. Allah उनको पसंद करता है जो दूसरों के साथ एहसान का मामला करते हैं. He said, I let you go free for the sake of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So even the servants and maids of those time knew the Quran. Even the maids and servants of those time knew the Quran. This was the level of knowledge in the time of the Sahaba radiallahu anhum and the Tabi'een and the Taba Tabi'een and the generations to follow. So this is how our pious predecessors showed us that we need to control our anger. Last thing, the hadith of Bayhaqi tells us that what are the levels of anger. A person can get angry, but a person who does get angry amongst other people, who is the best? Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam mentioned 4 categories, gave 4 examples. The person who gets angry amongst them, the best is one जिसको देर से गुस्सा आए और जल्दी उसका गुस्सा उतर जाए. The one who gets angry after a long time bearing, being patient, but then his anger drains out very easily. So getting angry late, but losing the anger very early. This is the best person amongst those who get angry. Then the second category he mentioned is a person who is on the next level is a person who's the worst, who gets angry very easily and loses the anger very late. Some of us amongst us are those that remain angry for 2, 3, 4 days with their family members. So this is not good. If it's really needed, then sure, consult the ulama. In certain cases it's allowed also. But this is not good. कि मुंह बना लिया तो अब 3-4 दिन तक मुंह ही ठीक नहीं हो रहा उसका. This is the worst person who gets angry. The hadith then continues. Then the third level, Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam gives another 2 examples. A person gets angry early and loses anger early also. Sawa, he's even. 4th person gets angry late, loses anger late. He's also like the 3rd person who gets angry early and loses anger early. Okay. So these 2 are equal, but the best is one who gets angry late, loses the anger early. The worst person is one who gets angry really fast and loses the anger really late. So these are the 4 categories mentioned in the hadith. I know my situation, we all know our situation. In today's terminology, it is known as anger management. People spend hundreds and thousands of dollars to take classes of anger management. Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam taught us anger management more than 1400 years ago. The last thing is with which we'll wrap up. There are certain situations where, and this does not mean that anger is not allowed once again. Take it as a disclaimer. Anger, it is mentioned in the Shama'il, in the qualities of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, that he never got angry for himself, nor did he take revenge from anyone for himself. But if it was for the sake of Allah, for the sake of deen, then nobody was able to bear his anger. If he saw the command of Allah being broken, nobody could bear the signs on his face. He became angry. And he wouldn't rest until the command of Allah was fulfilled. For the sake of deen also, the compensation was also taken. So getting angry for the sake of iman, we see anything or something happens and we need to express our anger, it's not even only permissible, it should be there. But once again, within the limits. This does not mean we start breaking the glasses and start throwing stones on others. No. And we say this is for the sake of deen. This is not deen. For in that case also there are parameters. So whatever was said and heard, may Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala give us the understanding of these things. Ameen. Brothers requested, inshallah, even if you have prayed the sunnah, if you can stand up for the few seconds, and if there are any gaps in the line, we can move forward and fill them up and then sit down, inshallah. थोड़ा सा हम खड़े हो जाएं, चाहे सुन्नत पढ़नी हो कि नहीं. आगे की सफ़ों का खला पुर कर लें और फिर इंशाअल्लाह बैठना हो बैठ जाएं, सुन्नत पढ़नी हो सुन्नत पढ़ लें. जल्दी हम खला को भर लें. Quickly inshallah if we can fill in the gaps.